Hello folks, and welcome to Paddock Pass, your pre-race edition for the 2019 Grand Prix. Hot, really hot. Been 40 degrees today here in Hockenheim. To use the correct parlance, I believe one would say that it's mafting. That's an English word, not a German word. Swelteringly hot as Europe experiences temperatures it's never seen before. Somewhere today, apparently in Germany, it was 43. Here, it just tipped 40, I believe, and it will do again tomorrow. We're expecting 40, 41 degrees here in Hockenheim before the heavens open. Thunderstorms on Saturday, about 30 degrees, and then down to 24 and raining on race day on Sunday. So we're going to get it all over the next 3 days. It's going to be quite the weekend from a weather perspective. Right, we're starting at Williams because they've got upgrades. Finally, those long-awaited upgrades are coming to the Williams, and they are very, very obvious when you see the car. Floor, massive changes going on there. Around the barge board area, they've got that kind of very sort of McLaren-esque box effect, sort of a boomerang effect around the barge board area. Some huge, huge changes there, hoping to pull them back into that midfield battle. Robert Kubica will have those upgrades on Friday morning. George Russell should have them by the end of the weekend.
No, we definitely got some things coming to the car this weekend. Robert will have them tomorrow, and then I should have them on Saturday as well. So just getting a good comparison tomorrow to see if they're working as planned, and we'll go from there. Oh,
excellent. Okay, so Robert's going to do the legwork in practice, and if they work, you get them on come Saturday.
Well, I think regardless, we don't see that they won't work, but it's it should be a step in the right direction. But how much, we don't know.
What are they? What areas are you hoping to improve?
Well, you should be able to see visibly, I guess.
Oh, it's going to be that obvious, is it?
Can we say that? Yeah, I guess.
I think you can. Well, you've just
said
it.
Yeah. I guess you can see it. Yeah, barge boards, probably a bit of floor, wing, rear wing. Wow. I think. Is that correct? I don't know. I think.
I mean, put him on the spot.
I just drive the car. That's all I do.
What did the press release say?
The press release said none of that.
Ah, excellent. Okay, cool.
Oh, no, breaking news.
You've done it now.
Oh God. Okay.
Cool. Excellent. You've let the cat out of the bag.
Absolutely.
What kind of an effort has it been to get this onto the car?
I mean, it's just sort of a standard procedure for all teams to bring upgrades, but obviously, we've all had to take a big step back to hopefully start seeing a bit of positivity and forward movement. So, like I said, hopefully this can be a small first step for us to start getting back to where we need to be. But we're not expecting to be any higher than our current position. We're still going to be definitely at the back of the grid, but hopefully we'll be a bit closer this weekend.
Have you got any sort of prescribed objectives for this upgrade package in terms of a percentage improvement?
No, not really. I mean, we've obviously driven it on the sim. I'm not going to give those figures away what they were, but like I said, it's definitely going to be an improvement. But it's like with all teams. I know teams up and down the paddock who thought they were bringing half a second to the car and they went slower. So if the guys have done the stuff right, we'll definitely be a little bit quicker.
On to Alfa Romeo and Kimi Räikkönen, nearly half a season now into his tenure back here at Sauber, as was the team where he started his Formula One career. Beat Zender, team manager here, is celebrating his 25th year, not just with the team, but in Formula One as well. Great guy. But we're going to talk to Kimi about the changes, all the similarities between racing at Ferrari and racing here. And also the news this week that Simone Resta, who is behind this year's car, originally had been seconded from Ferrari to Alfa Romeo, is now making that switch back to Ferrari to help them get on top of their car this year, try and take them back into a more positive place, given the hugely positive influence that he's had down here at Alfa Romeo. What surprised you the most about being with Sauber this year? What's the biggest change from Ferrari, and what's sort of the biggest similarity, do you reckon?
The biggest change is more close to my home.
Nice.
I don't need to fly there to the factory, so but honestly, generally, the work that we do is very similar. It doesn't matter which team you go. Obviously, countries changes a bit from team to team, but not really any surprises.
Is the team in a good space at the moment to sort of build on this first half of the year?
Yeah, I mean, keep trying to make the car faster, and it just takes a bit time. But I think at least we bring new parts into work as we expect, so that's the good point of it. And yeah, there's still a long way to go, and need to make the car faster to catch up with say McLaren, and but we are there and thereabouts most of the races, so that's a good thing.
Obviously, Simone Resta's gone back to Ferrari. How much of a loss do you think he'll be, and how much confidence do you have in Jan Monchaux to keep you guys moving in the right direction?
Yeah, obviously it's a shame to lose. Simone is a great guy and it's done a big things in the team when he came into the team, and where we are now, where we started, and so it's a shame. But it's he goes back to his home, and I'm sure he enjoys there. And yeah, big thanks to him. But with Jan, he worked with Simone very closely, and he's a very smart guy, and he's done a good job, very good job so far. So I'm not really thinking that it's gonna. In the short period, for sure, nothing will change this, and I know that there's a lot of good things coming later on this year. So, but yeah, it's always a different, new guys taking over. So it's a big challenge for them. But I have my faith that he's going to do a good job behind, and there shouldn't be an issue.
And so to Racing Point, like Williams, a team who have been waiting for an upgrade package for some time. The upgrade package was much vaunted for the Hungarian Grand Prix, but there were rumours that it might turn up early. It has. It's here this weekend. We talked to Sergio Perez about that. And also, we're getting to that time of year. We touched on it briefly at Silverstone, but silly season is around the corner. Will Sergio be back? But will he, or is he, looking elsewhere? Rumours abound that there may be a seat at Renault alongside Daniel Ricciardo. Rumours abound that there may be one, possibly even two spare seats at Haas. We'll get onto that very, very soon. One of the highest regarded drivers in Formula One, will Sergio Perez still be at Racing Point in 2020? There's been a lot of talk for some races now that you guys are going to get an upgrade package either in here or Hungary. Is it going to be here?
It's going to be here. Part of it, we're getting something more for Hungary. So for the time being, for the moment, we are focusing on the new package that we have for here.
Excellent. What's it addressing, this new package?
It has side pods, floor and stuff that we hope we can do a good step forward that can bring a bit more balance to the car. Something we've been missing in the last couple of races.
Cool. Talk us through Silverstone. I guess not quite what the promise suggested you could have achieved.
I think we were very unlucky that day. We did everything perfect from our side. We definitely deserved the points that we were going to score, and yeah, in the end they didn't come. But we definitely deserved those.
We're getting to silly season again. There's always interest in you, where you're going. Are you going to stay here? Are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it's the time of the year. It's only 2 weeks from summer break, so I think during summer break I'll know exactly what my plans are going to be, and I hope I come back from summer break with my future result.
Good times at McLaren. There are a real wave of positivity at the moment. We're going to talk to Carlos Sainz about that very atmosphere, that vibe of positivity that just radiates through this team, and the fight that they're having with Renault, which is the sort of the real intensity of that midfield contest. I was watching a lot of stuff about the moon landings this week, Apollo 11. Don't worry, it does have relevance. They were saying the average age in the launch control, in mission control, was 21. It was a really young group of people who were just united by the passion for what they were doing, and it made me think of the way you've been describing McLaren recently, of just this group of young people that really have the same mission and the same goal and are just driven by this sort of united passion. Am I way off, or is that kind of where it is?
I don't know how off you are in terms of age average, which I think obviously the age average in McLaren is a bit higher, but in general in the whole project. But the will and the passion that is driving this team forward at the moment, it is definitely comparable, I would say. I think the positivity, the the atmosphere now and the will that we all have to make this happen, or to make the recovery happen, could be similar. Yeah, good point.
Does it feel like you're trying to put someone on the moon? The sort of the enormity of the task.
Well, to beat Mercedes requires I think it's even more difficult than putting someone on the moon at the moment. They are so good at everything and they are so far ahead to everyone else that is extremely tough at the moment. In Formula One, they've raised the game. The team has raised the game, has created new standards in how a team should operate, and McLaren is learning a lot from them. But we're also trying to be the next Mercedes. Trying to innovate, trying to become the next Mercedes in the future, hopefully.
And for you, yourself, you've had a couple of great races. Where do you see areas where you can improve?
I think I can improve still in everywhere. Personally, I think there's a few things to look at in qualifying still that I haven't gone to plan recently. Honestly, the first 3 or 4 qualifyings of the year, I was extremely unlucky, but now I think we have a good car that we should get into Q3 every time we can, unless the others improve massively. And as a team, we just need to make that gap bigger in case there's issues in qualifying. You still qualify in a decent position, because at the moment, a small issue in Silverstone, boom, P13, and everyone thought you were really good, no? So we just need to create a bigger gap.
I'm not entirely sure Carlos knew where I was going with those questions, but good of him to humour me. It's been fascinating watching all the Apollo 11 stuff. It really is really interesting. But I mean it, and it's what we were saying earlier about that vibe of positivity, and that kind of that unifying factor of everybody there wanting that same thing, and that very youthful vibe of sort of togetherness, and all pushing for the same thing, and it feeling almost like, as Carlos said, it's probably a bigger task than putting a man on the moon is catching up with Mercedes. How big is the task, though, that lies ahead of Haas? Mars? Beyond, possibly. It's huge. They are going one step further this weekend. They've brought an upgrade to the Silverstone package, which K-Mag will run again. Romain Grosjean still with the Australia spec of the car. Of course, what they needed was a full race distance on both cars to get the feedback, get all the data to know which direction they wanted to go down. Of course, they didn't get that because the drivers drove into each other on the first lap, ruined both their races. Gunther went off again this morning as well. He hasn't let it go. He's fuming. So obviously there's a lot of talk about whether both drivers will be here, not just next year, but there was even talk that Romain Grosjean would be replaced for this weekend, which I found unduly harsh. I think he's doing an all right job after a difficult patch last year, but he's not doing a bad job. Just need to take the magnets off the cars that are seemingly attracting them towards one another. Let's talk to Romain Grosjean then, because if you believe the rumours, we might not have many more chances. I don't believe the rumours. Silverstone didn't go as planned.
No, it didn't go as planned. I mean, the whole weekend was quite complicated on different aspects. Obviously, the positive for me was to understand that the old car gave me a much better feeling and actually went faster than the new car. Something I've been saying since the upgrade was brought in Barcelona. I just never really had a good feeling with it, and yeah, was surprised to go faster than the new one, knowing that there's 5 months of development between the two package. So that was interesting to learn and to move forward. It has happened in other teams, but even though the sensor can tell you something, I think the drivers always feedback is always very important. So I was pleased with that. Obviously in Hockenheim we do the same test again. I'm going to be running the old car, and Kevin is going to be running the Silverstone one, and then we've got an upgrade for FP2. If that upgrade really helps us, then there's a chance I could have it on Saturday. But it's very important that we compare those 3 cars here and we decide which direction we want to go for the future.
You say that the driver has the feedback, obviously, and the sensors can tell you one thing, but the driver can tell you something else. Do you think that you've been listened to with your complaints?
Yeah, I have been. But obviously maybe the communication was not as good as it could have been in the team. But obviously I was listened to, but we couldn't see anything on the data. So, at the end it's hard to admit that there's something happening when you don't see it on data.
How frustrating has it been having that feeling of knowing that the car doesn't feel as good, the time is slipping away from us, but the data saying something completely different?
Yeah, I guess it's part of racing. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work your way. I think the most important thing to me is that my feeling was right from the beginning, and that's what I'm happy with. You know, I think experience in Formula One is key, and yes, there's things we could have done better in terms of communication in the team, but it's the first time it happens to us, and you know, your first time is not always your best time.
Absolutely. Quite. Moving on, though, obviously Silverstone contact on lap 1, not ideal. Gunther, very unhappy. Not the kind of person you want to make unhappy, I would imagine.
No, but I guess I can understand. As I said, the whole weekend was complicated. It wasn't just the race one contact, lap 1 contact, and yeah, I mean, there's always things we could have been doing differently. I think we got a bit unlucky in that one with the double punctures. Kevin touched me first, another puncture out of 4. And then obviously on 3 wheels, the car was a bit harder to control into 5, and I pushed him wide. I didn't see he was on the outside there. Well, there's a lot we could have been doing different. I think it was a bit unfortunate, and with Kevin we shook hands straight after the race, and we phoned each other on Monday. So look, yeah, we can always try to do better, but it's racing, and it's never going to be that easy to just avoid to be close to each other when we qualified very, very next to each other.
We've seen you guys fighting throughout the year. Remember Barcelona as well. I know the team not terribly happy after that race either. Has Gunther given you guys an ultimatum about racing?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there is one. So we'll be careful.
Renault then next, and to a driver, German driver, home Grand Prix, Nico Hülkenberg, who's looking forward to his home event, but is one of those drivers that is part of this silly season mix-up. Might a Hülkenberg end up at a Haas, or even back at a Racing Point, Force India under its former guise where he was before? Who might end up in his seat here? Perhaps an Esteban Ocon. Perhaps a Nico Hülkenberg would be a great driver for a Haas next year. He's very much in play in terms of silly season. But for him right now, the focus obviously is on Renault, which has had a bit of a yo-yo form of late. Austria was horrible, Silverstone much better. What will it be here? Will it be the temperature as it was in Austria coming back to bite them in the posterior? Or is it just circuit specific?
Yeah, it's always difficult to judge. I think tomorrow is going to be tricky. In this kind of heat, nothing feels great. Or usually, race cars, they struggle in the tires even more so. But I think the expected drop in temperature is probably quite realistic, because at some point, this heat needs to, come out, and there will be some thunderstorm and thunderclouds probably. So it will cool off, and then we'll be a bit back to normal, the normal, race car feeling. But yeah, I think obviously McLaren are on a good form, have good momentum recently, and probably our biggest competitor at the moment. So we need to try keep up with them, battle with them. Obviously, we had double point finish last weekend. It wasn't all perfect. I think it could have been better, but we'll try to continue that trend here.
You talk about the normal race car feeling. How is the race car feeling? Are you over the problems in Austria? Have you got that all sorted, fixed, rubbed out?
I believe so. I think Austria is kind of a standalone, a one-off. There's something in that place with our car that just doesn't work, and it's not happy. And in Silverstone things were very much back to normal. Still the same, weaknesses, problems that we've had so far this year, but nothing like in Austria. So I think we forget about Austria and we move on.
Getting close to silly season. Do you see yourself anywhere other than Renault?
It's difficult to say. I think it's quite likely that I'll remain with the team. I think there's definitely interest and appetite from both sides, and a realistic chance. But so far nothing is confirmed and nothing is set in stone. So we'll see what happens. I think the next couple of weeks could be quite interesting.
Worth having some conversations elsewhere?
You always need to talk to people, there's always expect the unexpected basically, in Formula One. So you just need to be open-minded until something is fixed somewhere.
And so to Toro Rosso and our dear friend Mr. Alex Albon. Someone said that I was mocking a speech impediment. I don't think Alex has a speech impediment. I was merely singing Blue Moon by the Marcells. Probably can't do that anymore. Blue Moon's a beer that you put slices of orange in. Weird. I don't get it. He's got a new sponsor though. It's a craft cider sponsor, so probably going to have to cut the Blue Moon thing. Actually, he's brought 2 sponsors. Talk us through those final laps in Silverstone, because you've got tyres that are just about hanging on, and then the car decides to go and do whatever the car did. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so it was a frustrating one because actually we started off quite okay and we were in that fight with Daniel, Lando and them lot. And yeah, unfortunately when that pit window opened, when Daniel could come in, that was kind of the golden opportunity for all of us. And we didn't pit because we had this live situation, an issue with the battery, so unless the mechanics wanted to turn into toasted men, we had to stay out. Yeah, just basically had to stay out do double distance, I think, on the medium tyre, which yeah, by the last couple of laps, the carcass of the tyre was showing. You could see the ribbons, the wires coming through, and I was like, okay, we're at the end of life here. So yeah, it was a shame because we were only 2 laps away from getting into the points. But yeah, anyway.
Hell of a drive then, in that case.
Yeah, it was a good one. Because the problem is because I pushed the tyre initially, thinking that I was going to do another pit. So it suddenly came from like okay, Alex, you're going to go full distance now. And I was like, full distance. I was hoping to pit soon. So yeah, it was a difficult one, but yeah, that's racing.
And you've brought a new sponsor to the team this weekend. 2 new sponsors, which I know definitely cider.
And then we got PTT. Look at that, getting their money.
I mean, you're bringing everything to the party now as well. You're putting the marketing department, sponsorship guys out of a job.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I think it's 2 Thai sponsors. And yeah, it just shows the kind of let's say, the world of Formula 1 is growing in Thailand, which is very good.
It might be the first cider sponsor for an F1 team, I think, possibly. Is it good cider?
You have to tell me. You have to drink.
Oh, we're having a tasting this weekend.
You could if you want.
I mean, done. Doing this temperature, a cold cider sounds like a very good idea right about now.
Okay, well, we'll have to get you sorted. Yeah.
Done. Deal. How do you think you're going to go here?
Good, I think. I think we'll see. Soft tyres on a baking track, so I think it'll just be trying to get the tyres to last in sector 3, and it's not something we find easy, so we'll see how it goes. I think yeah, we've got our normal upgrades coming, so hopefully that puts us in the mix, but it's going to be tricky out there, that's for sure.
From Toro Rosso to Red Bull Racing. Had a good catch up with Pierre Gasly earlier. He reckons it's starting to click after a really good Silverstone race for him. Obviously, he can't rest on his laurels, knows he's got to continue that positive upward momentum that he experienced from Silverstone. But yeah, coming back here, happy memories of racing in Formula 2, loves this place. So yeah, he's pretty optimistic. I want to talk to Max Verstappen though, who comes here on the back of a victory. A victory, you say? Well, yes, a victory. He and Lando Norris as teammates in the virtual world, sim racing over the weekend. And as you're about to hear, leading a 24-hour sim race, and with about a quarter of an hour to go, his brake pedal fell off.
So I was anyway about to change them because I got new ones, like a different layout. But I was like, you know what, I'll do the 24 hours and then I'll swap them. But yeah, it was very scary. I mean, dominating for 23 hours and 45 minutes, and then with 15 minutes to go, your brake pedal falls apart. Yeah, basically, like where you put your force through, that got undone, and it just literally fell. It literally fell off, like off the brake.
You could hear it.
Yeah, you could hear it. So, and initially Lando, he thought I was joking because that's normally a typical joke you make at the end of the race. Oh, guys, my brake pedal is failing, or like my steering wheel is failing. But then I think at one point he realized, like, oh my God, he's not joking. Luckily, the other teammates as well, they were very calm. So it was all under control, telling me what to do. And we managed to win it with 27 seconds or something instead of 1.5 lap in front. So it was, yeah, I was sweating. The last 15 minutes, I think, has been the worst in my life.
Can you back it up with another win this weekend? We look back at Austria last time, we had temperatures quite this extreme. Is that going to play into your hands? Crucially, will it play against Mercedes?
I hope so. I hope it works for us. But I think if you look at the temperatures especially Sunday, it's going to rain probably, and is it again quite normal temperatures. So whatever you try, I think on the Friday, it's not really going to give you a lot for the rest of the week. But I heard anyway, Mercedes is coming with a new chassis, new design for their cooling. So I expect them still to be very strong.
Do you think this will suit you?
The heat in general, or
just the track this weekend?
I like the track. I've been driving here quite a bit already when I just got into car racing in Formula Renault 2 liters, and then F3 as well. I did some days here, so yeah, it's good. It's like a typical European track with a lot of history, and it's a shame we are not doing that old school track anymore. But it's still a good track to drive.
We've spoken to one German driver. It would be remiss of us not to talk to the other, Sebastian Vettel. 1 year on from the moment that a lot of people are saying it was that tipping point in Sebastian's last 12 months, really, or maybe the start of Sebastian's year of turmoil. Is that too much? Is that, I don't know, possibly not. Leading the race, spits of rain under his own steam, went off just around the corner up there. And since that time, yes, he's had successes, but has he been the same? Has he had, I don't want to say, it's not demons, it's not that bad, but has he been as fully focused, as on it as the Sebastian Vettel that we know he can be, the 4-time Formula 1 world champion, or are there niggles, are there, be it doubts, whatever? Questions are being asked, and not just about Sebastian of the moment, but is this indicative of who Sebastian is as a racing driver? And there's a genuine reappraisal starting to take place amongst some of my more learned and esteemed colleagues, of Sebastian's ultimate place in the pantheon of the all-time greats in Formula 1. Is this just a funk? Is this a blue period, or is this set? Anyway, we come back here to where many people argue it all started to unravel for him 1 year ago. But does that actually mean anything? If you're a racing driver, is every race unique and individual, or do some hold those memories? Do some of them actually mean a little bit more? How badly do you want this one?
I want it. Let's put it that way. I don't know if I need to rate it. So yeah. But going in, I think we're not looking as the favourites, but we'll see how the weekend progresses. I believe in our chance, and that's if it comes up, then I want to be there to grasp it.
Can you look at every race in a cold fashion, that every race is just unique and individual, and what happened at one doesn't affect what happens at the other, or do they each have their own little intricacies? And kind of returning here after last year, does it make it any different at all?
No, especially if it's a year ago, I don't think it does. I don't feel I don't spend much time thinking about what happened in the last year. In that regard, I take it in isolation, but I think it's also a good way. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we have a great crowd this weekend to support Nico and myself and give us some extra boost.
How close are you to putting all the pieces together? Because it looks like they're there or thereabouts.
We're not there yet. I think we need quite a lot of pieces if we want to be level at all time with Mercedes. I think that's a fair statement. But that doesn't mean that, come our day, that the pieces that we have are weak. I think pretty much the opposite. I think if we put our pieces together, and that's the real challenge, then we see where we end up.
And so we finished today down here at Mercedes. You will see a very different looking Mercedes this weekend, and it's really quite cool. Vintage posters adorn the back of the garage. Inside the garage, it looks like kind of like concrete walls and photo frames, and it's really beautiful. The car itself, white at the front, then the white paintwork seemingly scratched off, revealing the car that we know from 2019 underneath. That all pulls into the fact this is Mercedes' 200th Formula 1 Grand Prix this weekend. It's also the 125th anniversary of the Paris-Rouen road race, the first motorsport event which was won, the win was shared between Peugeot and Panhard, but they weren't running Peugeot or Panhard engines. They weren't reliable enough. No, instead they ran Daimler engines. So it's Mercedes' 125th anniversary of their first win in motorsport, which just so happened to be the first race ever held. It's quite the history. Anyway, when they were racing in early Grand Prix racing in the 1930s, they raced in white. German teams raced in white. That was their racing colour. British racing green. Italians in red. And one day, so the legend goes, at the Nürburgring in 1934, they were overweight. So they stripped the white paint from the front, well, from the whole car, revealing the aluminium underneath. That aluminium sparkled in the sunlight, and thus was born the legend of the Silver Arrow. Nice, huh? That's why today, this weekend, that car is white at the front, and then that paint scratched off, revealing the 2019 Silver Arrow underneath. No pressure then for their home race. The car looks great. The team are in buoyant mood. Can they make it another win in this incredible era for the Silver Arrows?
It's not been a bad start to the season, full stop, though, has it? 7 out of 10 wins and 39 points in the lead. For a man who finishes strongly in a season, would you say this is the best halfway stage of a season you've ever had in your career? And does that not bode very well for the rest of the opposition for the next 11 races to come?
I think, well, I mean, my first season was pretty strong. The first, I think 12 races, I think it was 11 races or something, was on the podium, so it was pretty strong back then in my first season. But I think since then, I don't recognize another season being as strong as this one for sure. And of course, having the 7 wins, I think I was just reminiscing about like my McLaren days. I think most I had in the year was 5 wins, and over this all the years here, I think we've had maybe 10 in the season, but it's never been 7 in the first 10. So it definitely is an outlier and something we're really proud of. But we just got to keep our head down and keep pushing. And but generally, yeah, we generally do as a team get stronger as we get through the year and as a driver.
How difficult is it, though, to keep your head down, keep focused, not think too much about the ultimate prize? Because the position you are in, and with history showing that you do get stronger as the season goes on, anyone would think that the title might be done and dusted by now.
Honestly, it's really easy because I have the same approach as I've had always, and so I just take it one race at a time. So I don't find it difficult at all. And there's always things that you're able to learn from these races, even though the last one was pretty strong. There are still elements that can be better. For example, qualifying is still not perfect yet, and so I've got to work on that. But in general, the race pace has been really strong and something I'm really happy with, and bit by bit still understanding the car more and more. So I anticipate moving forward. But coming here, for example, it's very hot. We've got these hot races coming up, which are obviously not so easy for us, just like Austria. So it's going to be a challenge, and so that's great.
So that is your lot from Paddock Pass here in Germany. Apologies once again for wearing shorts. I did say back in Austria that I didn't normally wear shorts and hadn't worn shorts ever in Formula One, but I am doing again because, as we said at the top of the show, it's over 40 degrees. So yeah, it's a stinker. How will that play out for the weekend? We know that in Austria, Mercedes struggled with the temperatures, and they said it was the cooling issues that really cost them the chance to be able to push and fight for that race win. They have got a new cooling package on the car this weekend, hoping to make up for what was a clear deficiency in Austria. Will it be enough? Will it be enough to stop them from taking a victory and celebrate their 200th Grand Prix and 125th anniversary in style? And if so, will it be Ferrari or will it be Red Bull that can make the most of it? How about the battle between McLaren and Renault and Alfa Romeo getting in there as well? Will the Williams, fingers crossed, upgrades work and help to bring them into the midfield battle? What of Toro Rosso? What of Racing Point and their upgrade package as well? So many questions. Can't wait for this weekend, for the heat of Friday, for the potential torrential rain on Saturday, and for the thing that we always love, the potential for a wet race come Sunday. Join us all for that. But for now, from all of us here, we'll see you later.